book club. We found out that we're in the same frame.
I was trying to be her wind machine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
can't
having
do
a
that with
little
my
bit
arm.
This is the world's best interactive book club on the internet. You cannot prove otherwise. I'm Rachel Hine, and joining me are my wonderful co-hosts, Maude Garrett
Hello.
and Hector Navarro. And surprise! Joining us this week is Nerdist Associate Editor, the wonderful Amy Ratcliffe. Yay!
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi,
Welcome,
Amy. How's it going?
welcome.
Good. How
Hello
are you?
there.
I'm good. I'm good.
Ooh, you have a hardcover.
I do.
Oh, is she
Ooh, show that
fancy?
Oh yeah, I remember that
Yeah, I
cover.
remember that one
Yeah,
too.
I
That's
think
the one
this was
I
the
had.
first one I had. I
Yeah.
had to recently reacquire these.
Wow.
First question, is it Demon or Damon?
I say Damon, but because Demon just sounds evil. And
Right.
I think of them as so cute.
Yeah.
Demon
hard
is
for me to
however you
call
want to
them.
interpret it.
But that was Philip
Ooh,
Pullman's
spoken like a true demon.
idea, right? He was like, I'm going to turn something that people think is evil and then make good out of it.
Like Friday the 13th and Black Cats.
Yes, or Spock in Star Trek. People thought that was
Yes.
devilish ears,
Yeah.
and they
Oh.
censored it in advertisements. And it's like he's like the least like a devil.
He looks like an elf. Is that probably another form of a devil, though, being an elf?
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Then-
in some stories.
pointed
Yeah.
ears. Yeah. So
Well,
I say demon.
well, welcome to our Alpha community. We're so happy that you're with us to finally read The Golden Compass by
AKA.
Philip Pullman. We hope you're enjoying it. I really hope you're enjoying it because I've been talking about it for over a year. So hopefully most of you are enjoying it. We'll check in on Hector. Gave it a 2 earlier. But Amy,
I'm sitting somewhere else now.
I know. We're all going to move over here and judge you. That's not what we do
lose
here.
friends because I couldn't connect to a book.
The classic story. Tale as old as time.
I did lose friends in high school because no one else would connect to books.
Yeah.
Same.
I feel like that's on
Revenge.
you.
No, revenge is sweet.
Whoa.
Were you cutting people out because they couldn't connect to books, or
No, I wanted. Remember the story where I was
Yeah.
trying to throw copies of my Harry Potter book into my friend's hands, saying, "Please,
Yeah.
please, please read it," and they were like,
Yeah.
"No one cares about wizards, Maud."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's not true."
Everybody
And now-
should.
Yeah.
And now,
Yep.
So everyone's saying welcome to Amy. Yay!
Oh, thanks,
Islandscaper. Java Boogie Girl really enjoyed this section. So Amy, you've been with us before for Thrawn,
Yes.
but give us some of your background. We've got some new members of the club now. Give us some of your background as a reader, some of your favorite books and stuff like
fabulous shoes.
Oh, so many books. I've always loved reading. As many people here at probably in the chat room, and at least Rachel Bell was somebody I identified with strongly because I always had my nose in a book. On the bus to sporting events I was forced to participate in. I was in the corner being like,
Also them.
Anyway, some of my favorite books, Miss of Avalon, Walden, love the Harry Potter books, love the Lord of the Rings books. Dune is one of my favorites.
I want to read that.
Oh,
I've had it for years.
so
Yeah.
good.
I know. I actually haven't done it either. And Amy, you also did a book club for us on Nerdist.com where we
Yes.
did The
Oh,
Silmarillion
and
and Dune. So you guys can check
Yeah.
that out on Nerdist. if
I
you
survived
like.
this. That's what I really want to say about reading. I survived the Silmarillion. It was actually fascinating. It just
It's
is
a
a
lot.
book to go through in tiny bites.
Got it.
Yeah.
The nightcap of books. You're like, I can't sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like who is this 20? This character has 20 names now. I can't just know.
That's why I have never been able to get through all of Lord of the Rings. And
Just
it's
give them
more-
one name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
And maybe they don't all have to rhyme. Thorin,
Right.
Doran, Lauren,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
Huey
I don't know.
Dewey. What?
Yep.
Do you know what I realized my problem with June was? I say June and not Dune. And the second
I
thing
thought you
is
said June,
June.
like with a
June.
J.
Like
June.
the month.
Dune.
The month of
Yeah.
June.
Dune.
June.
Oh my
June.
God.
It's
It's like a hard D and then a soft
accent.
U. June. And I
June.
also, I think at one stage in my childhood, I mixed up June and Tremors, the movie.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, fair.
Yes.
Sandworm things.
so isn't Kevin Bacon in Tremors?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I'm going wrong with life.
Wait a second. Kevin Bacon is Paul Atreides. No, too old to play Paul Atreides now. But Leto?
What
What
are
about
these
Kyle
words?
Chandler?
Those are characters.
Oh, he was great as he
don't
did
know,
play
though.
Paul Atreides.
Wait, Kyle Chandler or Kyle?
No, that was Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Kyle Chandler would be funny though.
Wrong Kyle.
What's
a sassy man.
someone funnier than me? What's the Big Hearts Can't
Maud.
Lose? What's a Dune version of the Friday Night Lights speech?
It would be.
Oh, fears
Walk.
the mind. Oh no.
Oh no, that's
Well,
good.
Sphere is the mind killer, but it's the.
Yeah.
We'll think on it. Thank you. Clear.
Fear Eyes,
Fear Eyes.
Full Hearts, Mind Killer.
Okay. I thought it
guess.
would be better than that.
That's better. That was better.
That'll work.
Whoever yelled that at us, or maybe if you, maybe it could be like
Don't ask
Like-
the funny things when the person hasn't read the book.
walk without rhythm,
person.
won't attract
Yes,
worm.
the worm.
I meant to the group.
Why I haven't I know. That's why the whole thing fell in
Anyway.
place.
But Amy,
Yeah,
you have read The Golden Compass before, have you not?
I have. It has been, don't know, years since I read the trilogy. So it's been,
Have you read that Book of Dust yet?
no, because I wanted to reread
Same.
these before. Like, I wanted to go with them because my memory's terrible.
I don't remember much. I
Yeah.
don't remember much.
Yeah, so driving back in, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I kind of, I remember that, but I was surprised, like, how quickly, like, I was sucked back into this world.
Did you read like me? Did you read them back to back
Yes,
in one go?
binged them.
Yes.
Luckily, they were all out, and I just,
Yes, that's exactly.
I
what
think it
had to
was,
do.
like, go to, like, I got the first one, I'm like, I'm curious. Now I need to go right back to the store
Yeah.
and buy.
That was such a. I miss bookstores because I would have that too, where I would always ask for gift cards for like Christmas or my birthday, and I would just acquire them from
Yeah.
relatives. Would be like, sure, I'll give you $10. You know, like cute. She
have
likes books, and I'd be like,
$800. Yeah.
They're all
I'll take
mine.
one of everything.
No, I had a whole system. I would go to the Barnes and Noble with my dad and just like pick a bunch of books, and then I would put a couple back, and then
Do the math,
try to
yep.
figure out how many.
Yep.
But yeah, which one was your favorite when you first read it? Do you remember which book?
I do not remember.
Okay.
Because I think as I read them all, like I did, they all kind of,
Blurred into
Blended.
one.
yeah.
I remember thinking there's a little bit of an inappropriately quick relationship, which makes me think that I am going to be a very stern mother if I have a son or daughter.
Did you mean the word quickie?
Very stern. What?
What?
What are you?
Oh, no, I've just
what
said
are
a
you
word
referring
that's-
to right now?
Didn't say quickie. 100% didn't say
No.
quickie.
No, but you said a very quick relationship.
Very. What did
That
I say?
it happens too. No, like just that
They
it can
were- yeah,
happen.
the
Like
ver- yeah,
an
the-
Insta relationship.
There it is. Yes.
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 A one night stand. What are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
the
What are
children.
you beating around the bush of?
My God, they didn't date. They just went straight into relationship. There was a real. They're in
Who?
it. They were young. I'm spoiling things.
We're gonna get
Oh,
into it.
like later
we're
in
gonna
the
get
books?
We're gonna get into it.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get into it.
I thought Maud was trying to do the thing where she's like, I don't want to make a gross joke, but I was
I
trying to
thought-
give you permission. I was
yeah,
like, no,
I
make
didn't
a gross
realize
joke.
what you were referencing, but
Yeah.
now I do.
I remember feeling a bit. Woo.
Oh,
Slow
okay.
down,
yeah,
kids.
yeah, we're not there yet.
100% not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Oh, so Maud's just doing the I'm spoiling because I've read
No,
a
no,
head
no.
thing.
It was the
Yeah.
I can't remember much about what happened. I
But
just
that-
remember thinking
Like,
that a parent should have been around. Is all. Thank you.
Oh, I was
what
the
a common
opposite.
YA theme, I think.
you were like,
like, where-
yeah,
adults.
kids get it. Rachel.
No, I mean I was 13 when I read it, or younger probably.
You're probably Lyra's
11,
age.
10. Yeah.
Where she's going through puberty.
What?
Amy, we've taken the quiz to find out what your daemon is. What
Yes.
have you taken that quiz yet?
I did this afternoon. I Pine Martin.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that what I
Yes.
got?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yes. What I got the first
Cool.
time. Then I changed most of my answers. And now
Like
I'm
I don't want a
goose.
Pine Martin.
I got goose and now I'm a golden monkey.
Yeah. No, that's bad.
Hey,
no.
cheers for the golden monkey.
I mean, if you're an Indiana Jones, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Legends of the Hidden Temple
Yeah.
or Aladdin.
Or like the monkey voiced by Jackie Chan in the Kung Fu Panda movies. He's kind of gold.
Oh,
So that was a good monkey.
Yeah.
That was a cool monkey.
Hey.
He's fun.
But what do you think your daemon would actually be?
A cat
Same.
of some kind. Like
What did I say again? Wolf.
Wolf,
Oh,
yeah. You
nice.
started with flamingo, went
to wolf.
deeper into wolf, yeah.
I like, what was it again? Pine Martin?
Pine Martin.
Yeah,
What is-
they're
what-
cute.
What is that? Is
Like
that
an
their-
ermine.
Is it, what's an ermine?
It's like,
Like
a
an
little,
otter-ish.
An
Yeah,
otter?
like a
Oh,
An
okay.
otter
like
family.
an otter.
I'll take that.
Fox
with
spirit.
pointy. They like. This means pointy ears.
Yeah.
Yes, not
An
horns.
I would
otter
love
fox
that.
spirit.
Or like a meerkat would be awesome.
Yeah.
I
I
love-
have cats there in the
that's cute.
family. I think the meerkat is the desert version of the pine.
Great.
No.
Yeah.
Great.
What is it again?
Pine Martin.
Why can't it be a pine nut?
Ooh, we have someone new. Omega Primer, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us. Theory F2104 says Lyra has very bad parents,
Yes.
one that lied to her since the beginning and one that's a monster.
Yeah.
Sure,
That's
accurate.
fair. You can't choose your parents.
That's a theme I actually wanted to bring up in today's episode, you can't choose your family. So if
No.
you get
Yeah.
dealt a shit hand,
You make your own family.
Exactly.
Family you choose.
you make your damn leap.
Before we get too deep into today's show, we're using a new feature on Alpha called Alpha Polling that allows you to vote right in the player. A question will pop up and you just click on the answer. Super easy. For now, it's only available to desktop users, but we will continue to be updating it over the coming months. So, for right now, kicking things off, do you know where the book is heading?
Nope. Is that
I
one of the
remember now.
options? Nope.
Is it just nope?
I'll just say this up front. This section feels like in most books of this genre even, that the section we read would almost be the ending. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? It had this big third act final action sequence, and then
Yeah.
it ended, and it was like kind of a happy ending, and it almost felt like when
could be.
when Harry Potter and the gang get back on the train and are waving, see you next year. Like I'm kind of like, I don't know what the rest of this thing is going to be. I guess we're going to go get Daniel Craig, but I'm not that invested in that.
I had that exact feeling where it was like,
Yeah. I was
maybe
like-
that's why the movie screwed it up so much, because there's clearly not 3 acts in this. There's 4 parts to it.
Yeah.
The intro setup, then you've got the Egyptian journey where you
Yeah.
kind of discover a lot more, and then you're placed into the thick of the action.
And
We've
then the
still
action.
got a
Yeah.
huge pocket of things which should be the final
There's a bunch.
showdown. We know that the witches are coming though, so it could be a little bit
It
of a.
came.
Well, yeah, they
But
in
then
the
there's
sky.
more. We
Yeah.
get a little bit more of the world
There's
and
like a
sort of
witch
the
army.
the inter politics of
Yeah.
witches, the oblation board / dust hunters, the
Yeah.
science team. Yeah, they're scary.
They're awful.
Yeah. That clinical vibe that you get straight away, they're all kind of just zombies being told to
Yeah.
do things, and so they're just doing that without any consequence. That's scary as hell, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super harrowing too when we get into Lyra finding out what is happening to these children here. Oh yay, Thierry likes the book. And T-Boyce is very excited that Amy is here.
Yay!
And I'm with Lee, lost the numbers. I have no idea where the story is going, which is a good thing. I really don't.
Wow, actually, the poll is in the same sort of headspace
Yeah.
with that.
Not
There's a
sure.
yes, there's a no, and there's a not sure, and it's pretty much in the not sure.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through the book, and usually I can't stand not being fed, nuggets of information enough to kind of give me a clear direction where I'm going. I'm still digging this.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop,
Yeah.
but I figured I would, so I didn't get confused. But
Yeah.
I don't have a strong memory of the ending, which is kind of a good thing about
Well,
having a terrible memory.
I want to
so-
ask you a question, Amy, and you guys, because you've read the trilogy before. What's funny? What is it? What's funny?
Nothing, just the end. I'm just
You'll get there next week.
yeah, we'll get there.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to ask the difference between this book and then book 2 in the series. Because at the beginning of The Golden Compass, Philip Pullman tells us this book is set in an alternate universe, not ours, but book 2 is set entirely in our universe. So to the question I am posing to the people who've read this before and the trilogy, was it a big shift? Could you tell? Or was it like business as usual?
Well, what's the
but it was
biggest
just-
difference between the book we've been reading and our world?
I don't know. It depends on what their interpretation of our world is. I guess. Okay. I guess the answer, the thing you're looking for, is demons.
Yeah.
So all of book
No,
2
it's demons.
doesn't. It's actually
Demon?
demons. Yeah. You listen to the audiobook. It's demons.
Demons.
Demons?
According to Philip Pullman, it's
Demons.
demons. And but you know what? You're
When you
not
put a
wrong
piece of
because
art out into the world, it's up
It's
to
true.
the.
it's GIF, not GIF.
Hand
I'm
in
with
hand,
you.
the rest
guys.
of it.
I'm with you. But like,
I will say
Voldemort.
that it's not. So when we read you will agree with me on this. I think. You don't have to, but if you don't, it's okay. But when we read Annihilation,
Yeah.
the next book
was it a big shift?
is from a totally different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very jarring. And I kind of hated the second book. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like the character. I didn't like what they did.
Yep.
And then
And what
in
they did
the
with that
third
character in
one-
the third book, even though the third book was much better.
Yes.
The problem,
Hers was
guys,
my
that you're
favorite.
having here is that I wasn't even inclined to start reading the second
Yeah.
book because the first book kind of threw me about so much. This one, like, oh my gosh, this unfolding that we're getting is exciting, and it's actually nourishing me in a way that I felt starved with Annihilation.
Oh, that's a great, because I just kept, not to go off track on Annihilation.
Start
that
for
left me
answers.
with
Talk
so
about
many
book
yeah,
we've read
start for
before, yeah.
answers though. You want to go,
Yeah.
but after having seen the movie, which kind of like
Oh, to-
sort of
no,
does
they
everything.
pivoted.
I really don't have an inclination
I
to
really
read book
liked the
2
movie.
because I really like the movie. And I'm kind of
know
like, good.
It's
I'm
worth
good.
it for the
it's worth
third
it. I would
one.
agree with
For the
that.
third
What
one,
happens
really?
in
Yeah.
the third way? Like, I
Okay.
really liked how they.
Does someone turn into a flower?
in the third book.
Kind of.
Actually, definitive yes or no with anything.
But like,
could.
so it's not. So it's you guys are saying it's not jarring when we get to book 2, which is in our world. And yes, people don't have demons, but like, what time period is it set in? Is it set in 1995 or whenever this book came out? Is it set at the turn of the century? So it still
Patience, young
feels
Padawan.
like old London.
You'll find out
I-
soon.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Me too, because I really don't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes me feel like it's not jarring.
The next
if
one is
everything
it's not.
blends.
It
Is
flows.
it Amber Spyglass or Subtle Knife?
Amber Spyglass. No, Subtle Knife, Amber Spyglass, and the okay. Much watch it. Much like well, not even like Harry Potter. It throws you into a new take on the larger
On the bigger
universe,
picture,
so
yeah.
it works together.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
And I really do think that if you are so inclined to read the next books, you should, because it gets bonkers.
Yes.
Bonkers.
I remember
what I've
enjoying
heard.
it thoroughly.
Java Book Geek Girl was saying in the chat that she read it as a child and then again now that she's reading it as an adult. Having read it as a kid and now as an adult, I think there's a lot you just pick up on as a kid that we see as adults, like how terrible and terrifying most of the adults in this are. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely true and I also noticed, I think when I read it the first time, there's obviously this war being waged between the religious side and the science side, and it's not necessarily things that we understand.
But you think do you see more of
entirely.
it as an adult? Like you're seeing more
Just
of it?
the idea of
Yeah.
the church, which has historic, and again, people who believe in religion, different from the structure of power of the church.
Nice.
The church is sort of trying to repress whatever it is dust is. When we have
Yeah.
this conversation with Mrs. Coulter, it's this idea that what?
I don't agree.
Really?
I see it differently, guys. I know it is about religion and science and like, you know,
yeah.
I see it as classism.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
don't. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't apply religion to things because I didn't grow up religious, and I still am not. So for me, I saw Mrs. Coulter, who is prim, proper, and cashed up, being able to easily manipulate people and
Sure.
to form and plot plans because she has got funding and a lot
privileged.
of money.
She's got the but
and
I
she's
think those
stealing
two go
children
hand.
that off the street that don't have families, and so the Egyptians and the lower class people, they're like fodder
they
for this
won't be
plan.
missed.
That's it.
I think those work together because often the church was a sign of,
Well,
status. People in the church were the only ones who could read for a very long time.
on-
Education.
On page 274, the idea that, because I kind of know what the bigger picture ideas of what Philip Pullman's trying to say as I'm reading this whole thing, right? I'm kind of hearing about what he intends, and I've heard some people kind of talk about the whole trilogy or whatever. So I have these bigger picture, but nothing maybe like Maud for me is hitting it. It's not hitting me over the head until page 274 when Mrs. Coulter is talking to all of the
Can I be Mrs.
scientists.
Coulter?
Yeah, you want to be Mrs.
So
Coulter?
bad.
Somebody asks, "What is Lord Asriel up to?"
Where are we?
Near the top of 274.
This is her.
Oh, this has the
Yes.
same pages as you guys. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Very
I
exciting.
think
Sorry.
he's got an entirely different idea of the nature of dust. That's the point. It's profoundly heretical, you see. Under the
consistorial court of discipline, she probably says it, I'm not, I'm a povo,
can't allow any other interpretation than the authorized one. And
Yep.
besides,
That.
he wants to experiment.
Those two sentences for me. Can't allow any other interpretation than the authorized one. That felt very much to me like, oh, the historical, the sort of power that the
Galileo.
church had.
Got it.
Right? And then, and besides, he wants to experiment, and the word experiment to me conjures up like people that are scientists and scientific. And so those
People
two
who ask
things.
questions, which they
Yeah.
don't seem to want.
Yes, that made me really think that Mrs. Coulter represented the side of the church or religion or faith, and that Lord Asriel is apparently like Bill Nye the Science Guy, just like trying to ask
What
questions.
can we do?
He's
What
Kyle Hill.
does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, Java Book Geek Girl, who has a very strong background in religious studies and
Yep.
theology, said,
She's brilliant.
yes, she is. Classism is totally present in religious power structures, especially in a theocracy like Lyra's universe. It makes total sense for you to see that because they have the scholars working with the church, the oblation board. They've found this thing and what we know about it is that it surrounds children but not adults. Or is it the other way around? It is. It
Yeah,
surrounds
it's
children.
Yeah. No?
Surrounds adults.
It surrounds
children.
Well, they say that. Yeah.
Like children are safe from it.
Yes, and once your demon settles, that's when
Yes.
it attracts the dust and lets the
Yes.
dust into you, and that's
And
when
there's
negative thoughts
something to do
happen.
with holes in your head. Is another
Yes.
part
Oh,
of
another
it.
yes,
tribe
the
altogether?
tribe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a.
But I feel like
one
that's
tribe's
connected because
belief.
they're doing that to
release the dust?
to release the dust or keep the dust in.
Well,
something.
the word is that they say that's a direct communication with God or the
Yeah.
gods for
But I
them.
feel like it has something to do with dust.
Yeah, and so they're trying to kind of control this thing that is mystical or scientific and make it so that they're like, we're freeing the children from this. They don't have to deal with this, and it just feels very repressive in the way that
Yeah.
theocracies
Is
and church.
is there a side of this, guys, where Mrs. Coulter is right, and when she's telling Lyra,
She doesn't
She
think
takes
she's
away
wrong.
a choice. I think, regardless of, maybe if she has the right idea or not, she doesn't give the children a choice and
Right.
makes it for them. And I think,
But you ask Mrs. Coulter, she's right.
of course,
The
she
greater
thinks
good.
she is.
and she's
literally
doing
good.
it to help people, kids and adults, because they're
Voldemort
suffering
would
from
say
this
that.
thing.
Uh-huh, exactly. There is
Yeah.
never a right and wrong. It's always a perspective.
Yeah.
So she actually genuinely believes that she's right, but she has to do very wrong things to make it happen.
Yeah, it's very Machiavellian. Yes. But yeah, so we also meet. How do we say it? Yorick.
Yorick?
Yorick.
Morgan?
Who I
Yorick.
love.
Yorick?
I love Yorick. How'd you guys feel about Yorick?
He's awesome.
I want
He's so cool, right?
he's so
He's
And I think
fucking awesome.
from what I remember, I'm sure you've discussed the film. From what I remember, that like he was like the coolest looking part of the film.
So we didn't let Hector watch the movie. He pinky swore. He
did.
normally watches the movie first before he reads the books.
Yep.
Okay.
And we made
Yeah.
him not this
Good.
time.
You made a good decision. 'Cause
So we'll probably talk. Oh, we'll have to talk about it next week.
Oh, I'm gonna watch this movie.
Yeah.
I am
Well, I will
so
watch it
curious.
next
Yeah.
week,
Cool.
unfortunately.
I'm so
But
curious.
he did look very cool. But he's just this like. He's almost like he's a little more, he's a lot more gruff, but a Hagrid type character.
Oh yeah.
Someone kind of bigger that takes you under their wing and protects you.
let you ride on his back.
Yeah.
I get a big
jealous.
from this whole book and this whole world. I get a big Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra vibe.
With Appa?
Ooh.
With Appa, and with Appa, and then The Legend of Korra, she had a polar bear dog thing. If you haven't seen The
I
Legend
need
of
to watch
Legend of Korra
Legend
is
of
like a
Korra.
fantastic show. It's
I love
Yes.
Avatar.
Yes. And not only that, but both of those shows in that world, there's a lot to do with like the North and the South poles and
yes.
their tribes there. So
Means
they're
Momo is the demon?
they're in the snow a lot, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Momo's
But yeah,
Yeah.
they have these great relationships with animal characters and animal creatures and stuff. But even then, with Yorick the bear, the way that he talks about his tribe and or his people and his beliefs and the fact that the armor is important to him, it's all very mystical, and it feels like for me the thing I connect to is in the world of Avatar they'll have similar philosophies and feelings with like bending and their beliefs and their which really all of that stuff amounts to is like cool shit for us to look at. So then you
Right.
get to Yorick and his bear stuff, and he's like, the armor is like my soul. And I'm like, sure, yeah, buddy, this stuff is just cool as shit. Like, and you're like polishing it, and then you
Yeah.
put it on,
Oh,
and
with
you're
the seal
awesome.
fat.
It's just like a big
Oh, how
action,
he made
you know.
the little tins, how it was just like effortless for him because he
But
just
they-
he's like bending metal.
Yeah.
right? But all of that is they made it so that like it's more than just what we think it is when this character talks about it. Right, and I get the same with Avatar and Korra. Like it's more than just the surface level stuff, and the same with the demons and the people's relationships with the demons. So I get a lot of that vibe.
I
and
see
the big
big
action
can see
scene.
that.
Correlations
Yeah.
there, especially
Yeah.
like Aang to me is Lyra, but instead of being able to bend all elements, she can read this
Yeah.
contraption.
Her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind
Having
of the
this-
thing
Gets
too.
answers in that way.
Java Book Geek Girl says, I adore Legend of Korra. I finally read the comics. They're very
Nice.
good.
Oh,
They're very good.
awesome.
Because the end of the cartoon show, being on Nickelodeon, hinted that the two female characters were going to enter a relationship.
yeah.
That I've
And the
heard.
comic books are like, yep, they're gay. And they're like,
Yay!
they're like in it. Like, yeah. So it's really, it's really good. They're really good.
Yay.
Well, we've
Yeah.
got a poll happening
yeah.
at the moment there. We asked you guys, do you think Mrs. Coulter is telling the truth? Now, she kind of did divulge everything to Lyra. She explained the dust. She explained what she was doing. She says that the dust is getting in and settling on people and causing negativity. So if a simple little guillotine snip and the cut just separates them, so you instead
Makes
have a
my
little pet.
stomach turn.
Do you think she's telling the truth? We've got 14% saying, no, she's lying. 55% truly believe that, yes, she's telling the truth, but in her own way. And 31 believes that she's partially telling the truth, meaning she's withholding some information.
We'll
I
have
don't
to
think
find
any of
out.
them are really wrong.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There are some really great conversations happening in the chat that I would love to bring up from Java Book Geek Girl and
Mrs.
just to
Kylo Ren
discuss
says Yorick was super cool. Yep.
a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, a little bit higher. So Game Wizard, there's a great
yeah.
conversation happening here. Game Wizard 001 says, first book makes it seem like dust is akin to independence, free will, and in the end, evil in the eyes of the church. Java Book Geek Girl said, anytime you organize anything, whether around religious beliefs, political, social, etc., a hierarchy of some sort forms. Agreed. That's why socialism sounds great in theory, but hard to do in practice. Game Wizard says again, kids are innocent until they reach a certain age, so dust touches them, so now they are filled with evil would be another way of saying it. And that to me is the religious element of this thing that they can't control and that they're trying to control by kidnapping children. And this cut, which can we bring up the
Yes.
thing we learned last week
Yes,
now?
we
What'd
can.
y'all learn?
Java Book Geek Girl said, my word, if you Google the name Kulta, what Kulta actually means,
Cutter?
it means
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we were just like,
What?
Yeah.
so she literally wants to
that was a great,
So theorizing then, why are all the staff, well, some of the staff, under some sort of control? Why are they all
Yeah, why are
vague
they
and
all?
detached?
And they're demons.
Yeah,
they are as
exactly
well.
the
They're
same.
just like, we're just kind of
Have
blank.
they had their
and-
dust extracted?
It feels like there has been a severing of some sort with the adults.
but not
and-
with their daemons.
Yes, or they're there. I mean, they
Like
could.
Mrs. Coulter
they're
said, like pets.
like pets.
Yeah, they're like pets, which is just tragic. We also get the sort of severity of
With that kid.
with the kid, with anyone trying to separate. When even in the beginning, when she and Pan, which is my cat's name now, so it's very fun.
Yay. Let's get a round of applause for Rachel, new cat named Pan.
He's so cute. I've been calling him Pants, but
Yeah, you have.
it's really great.
That's going to stick.
Yeah, it's
And then that'll turn into like
Pantsy Man.
Pantsy Man.
Fancy Pants.
Fancy Pants.
like
Fan Pants.
I know.
Fanny.
So many
And then I just
Panties.
meow
It's just
at
gonna-
him.
yeah.
Then I just meow at him.
You're just going to walk in, it's going to be unintelligible
he's a
gibberish. And
wriggly
people are going to be like,
little
Rachel, are
dude.
you okay? And you're going to be like, hey, come here. Smine, smine, smine. Like some,
That's how you
That
get
it
nicknames in
evolves.
Australia.
yeah. yeah.
It's
Why
just
does Texas
make
say
noises.
that? Well,
Yeah.
it started off here.
Ooh, Mrs. Kylo Ren, said the severing definitely reminded me of a lobotomy. Yeah, it's
Yes,
this
that
very
was what I-
scary thing. But when, even when Pan and Lyra try to separate because he really wants to talk to Yorick,
Yeah, it hurts.
it's physically
Agony.
so
Agony.
painful. And when someone else touches her, this like
Oh,
this part
that's so
fucked me up.
invasive and
When they're fighting, she's fighting with one of the dudes, and they're
Just grabs.
and he grabs her. And she felt faint, dizzy, sick, disgusted, limp with shock. One of the men was holding
Didn't she say it
Pantalaimon.
felt like an actual hand of like a
Like,
devil
yes,
had,
yes. And
that they were, like, on her.
affected her.
And they're
I thought she got shot by a trank dart
yeah,
when that
something.
happened.
But it's so that relationship, and we've talked a little bit about it, either the ego or the soul and all of these things. It is so intimate and it is so connected to her that touching your daemon is such a violation. And that to me, like the whole thing with like kids getting kidnapped, something bad is happening to them, violating stuff. I was like, this is a horrifying story, and it really is effective because it reminds you of real life horrors in the world and the horrible things that can happen to children. And this was like, reading this as an adult versus a child, I was like,
Yeah, it's
blah, like
different.
so horrifying to me.
wrong.
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
that the
it's
book
uncomfortable.
does such a good job of explaining the relationship between people and their demons. Such a good job explaining that those emotions when there is a severing, when we meet the kid, I think his name is Tony, who doesn't have a demon. They do such a good job of setting that stuff up.
Well, they say that to see someone without their demon, a demonless child, is the equivalent of seeing someone without a face.
Yep.
Like,
or like
it's
a
that
ghost. Or
entwined.
Yeah,
the
it's
town was
that-
like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
And
Or
he's
that
like,
it was a ghost.
he's got to pay for that fish. And
They,
she's
I
like,
get they
no.
shunned him
To make
yeah.
it sillier,
Yeah.
not to make, I have to, but like,
ahead.
did your dad ever shave his mustache or beard when you were a kid and it freaked you out?
My dad's been clean shaven for like
Oh,
15
my
years.
dad
Kind
had
of,
a
kind of,
mustache
yeah.
for my entire childhood.
Yeah.
When I was like 8 or 9, he shaved it once, and I was like, no.
Like what? You are
great.
different.
That's great. You're like, where's your demon? You have
And
no
it was like
face.
really
your
upsetting
face
to
like?
me.
That's so funny.
Anyway,
I agree.
Just trying to lighten the mood because I took it to a dark place.
Gonna bring it back down because I think they do such a good job, because I think in our lives with the relationship with the Damons, the closest we can get is like, oh, we have pets and we love them, but that is
Yeah.
a different level.
It is.
And
Oh,
I
I
think
don't know
they
if
do.
you touch my dog, I will.
You're like, I will cut you.
Yeah.
Number one, and then I will kill you.
Yeah.
But it is very like they do such a good job at explaining how it goes beyond that. So to the point by the time you get to this section in the book, like when she's talking about them taking
You
pain,
get
trying
it
to
and you
like
feel it.
it
Yeah.
hurts. Like it
Yeah.
makes
I got
me
it from
cry.
the Golden
like, I
Monkey
just-
pinning down Pantalaimon. Like I got it from
Yeah.
there, where it was
Yeah.
just so severe because she was so stoic and so stern, and you didn't see anything, and the betrayal was through the part of her soul attacking, and it was like just when that went down, I was just like, whoa, this woman is nasty. Like,
It really shows you that, and there's this level of trust because she is a nice. She seems like a nice lady, and that's a very scary thing. I also want to talk about the witches, because of course,
because
Yeah.
witches.
she's
of
a
course.
witch.
What did y'all think of the?
You're a witch or a
the-
vampire?
the-
I can't keep up. Both. Can you be both?
I
a
can do
vampire.
anything I
You're like,
want.
Sure.
You can
She's
be
lived to 476 and counting.
a
I
vampire
figured out
that,
how to
that
do it.
practices Wicca. You could be a vampire that practices Wicca, and
Yes,
then you
you
could be a
could.
witch that like
could be a
observes
Wicca.
and respects
Vampire.
vampirism. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
theoretically, you
could do that.
if you were one.
Could you be a vampire that was also werewolf cursed? No, I don't think so.
Actually, the Pretty Sure
think you
season 2
could.
in Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
You can?
Oh, that's right.
It depends on the lore you're working with, but yes,
Guys, real quick,
technically
I
possible.
came up with a premise for a movie. I'll just ruin it right now. It
Oh,
was
cool.
called Rock Paper
Schizo.
Zombies is what it was, and the premise was think of like that vaguely kind of cold Europe that was in like the movie 28 Days Later. Think of that sort of like
Russia?
mid 2000s, yeah, kind of like Eastern Europe and like London, sort of like
Sorry.
of that world,
that
right?
came up
Yeah.
sassier than I meant.
Everything's very cold and kind of clinical,
Drab,
and you go to like an underground facility and there is a group of scientists.
Oh my gosh, it's like a
and-
bunker. I'm thinking Goldeneye. Keep going.
Yeah, this would be like Goldeneye. Think of that. Like there's Alan Cumming, and he is
Yes.
like the scientist,
On
but
board.
he
Is he
is
coming or
a-
going?
He is staying. He's stagnant right now. He's stagnant right now.
Wow.
Okay, Alan Cumming is stagnant. He's not going anywhere. But he is a
Is
let's
he Sean
say.
Bean? Bean or no?
What's that? No, you couldn't do it. No, you really killed it with that one.
she's gonna
You really killed it with the Sean Bean
I
reference.
said Sean Bean.
Yeah,
You had to duck.
but you got a scientist who is like a vampire working with a scientist that is a werewolf, and they're both
I'm lost
working.
already.
Okay, it's like a secret underground, like in London. It's like a secret paramilitary organization. A bunch of human scientists, and there'll be a vampire scientist,
Yep.
and there'll be a werewolf scientist.
Yeah, they hate
and
each
what
other.
they're
Love it.
doing
Yes.
is no, they don't hate each other. They're working with a couple of humans. Bear with me, but
Yep.
normally werewolves and vampires have societies that hate each other.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a cure for both of those afflictions.
Yep.
For vampirism, for the werewolf curse, they're trying to find the cure. They accidentally end up creating the zombie strain. And then it becomes zombies versus werewolves versus vampires. And the reason they have to stop it is because if everybody on Earth becomes a zombie, vampires run out of food. And they learned, like rock, paper, scissors, that zombies and armies of zombies can easily overpower werewolves. So werewolves and like the Lycans or whatever that society is, they're like, we also have to put a stop to them because they're more powerful than us. Well, normally we're the most powerful.
So you
and
have to
werewolves
take
and
out the
vampires
zombie.
don't fuck with each other. So then the end of the movie is this big army of like three
All
armies
three.
converging in like downtown London, like, and it would be like rock, paper, zombies or some dumb title like that.
That's
Nice.
And then at the center of
Awesome.
it are those two good guys I said and like a human good guy. And they're like, we gotta figure out the cure.
Sean Bean.
it.
Sure.
A
Who will die?
little.
It's just a half idea.
underworldy.
Yeah, totally. It's just a half
Oh,
idea.
Scott Speedman. I'm in.
Me
I'm
too.
in.
Amazing.
I'll
I
take Kate
really don't
Beckinsale.
want to go on a tangent, but I did write a 300 plus page book with my friend when I was 13 that was about the
That's First of all, 300 pages at 13.
That's a book.
Well
That's a
done.
book.
Thank
That's
you.
a
It was
book.
2 people. We were working on a trilogy. It was royal families of vampires, werewolves, shapeshifters, and sorcerers or witches.
Rad.
And the sides that needed humans for food
Yeah.
banded together against the ones who wanted to eradicate humans.
Right.
And it was because we were 13, it was like the prince, each one had a prince and princess, and there was a bunch of people smooching and
That's
all
great.
sorts of.
I'm in.
It was pre-Twilight. I could
I'd
have
read
made
that,
$1
or I'd watch
billion.
that. Yeah. Well,
So
now's
what
the
she
time.
just effectively did was say, I love your idea, but I did it like 20
Yeah.
No,
nearly
that didn't have
years
to do
ago.
with zombies. I'm just saying
her
similar.
idea was better because it had princes and princesses in
And
it.
they-
And
Mine
smooching.
Mine didn't. That was
Yeah.
There's a
missing from
lot
mine.
of
I needed
Make it
to
out.
search.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not what I was trying to say. We have a poll going. It's
I'm
not.
trying to say.
Which would you rather have? This is.
Not even a question.
I
Okay.
mean,
A
yeah.
Pause.
ship?
But pause though.
Shit.
Pause. What universe am I in? Okay,
This
there's
one.
no way think about the logistics of that, people. If you have a demon, you will be the most unique human in the world. You will be every government is going to want to study
you are
you.
vulnerable. I don't
Yeah.
like to be vulnerable. I want my alethiometer because if I can read that, I have answers to everything. Like I said, if you have
Kind
a
of.
cat and someone sits on your cat and the cat dies, you are dead.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
What a tr-
Whoa!
If the- I'm just- or-
stop
or-
attacking the cat.
To take that idea further, Mog,
I actually
like
took that from
if-
Sopranos, where the guy passed out on the chick's dog.
Oh.
So where's the dog? Where's the
Oh,
dog?
it's underneath there, yeah. But like to take that further, if
Now I'm
word gets
definitely not
out,
watching it.
if word gets out that Rachel's pen isn't just a cat, but like it is her demon, and Rachel Hine apparently is the only human in the world that
She
has
had
this
to bring the cat
relationship
to
that
work,
like
and then there's a no pet policy, so she loses
Yeah.
her job.
Yeah, yeah.
Worth it. Super worth
But
it.
if you have a thing that
Work
reads
from home.
symbols and people find out about that and you get the answer to everything, you're
do,
also
you
a
make it
target.
into a-
They're
It'll
gonna
put
Easier-
you in a.
Easier
yeah.
secret to keep. Easier secret to keep. I will say. I'm gonna go with that. Just
It's
for
sort
the
of like
logistics
having a
of it.
death note too. It's like
Yeah.
some sort of thing that you can keep to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One inherently more evil than the
Mind
other.
you,
but,
you could just get a service animal for everything in this city, so.
but you don't get to talk to them.
That's true,
They
they would talk.
shapeshift. They're
That's
way
cool.
cooler. I mean, I love.
No, it's
Pan.
easy to hide.
Oh,
just like,
yeah,
oh,
you
it's
could.
just
Yeah,
my
you
service
could.
animal.
That's
this
a good
is my
point.
pet
This
moth.
guy's will.
It's a
Yeah.
moth.
This is my
I
pet
mean,
moth.
No one would
I'd
even. You
believe
wouldn't even
that.
say the
Yeah.
moth.
Okay.
It could be
People would be
cool
like,
anything.
Amy, you got to take that moth home. You're like,
be
no, it's
anything.
my
No,
pet
it's
moth.
my service
Problem is
moth.
if you have like a dog, everyone wants to pet your dog, and
Right.
you're there going, ah!
And then you're a weirdo
Oh,
for being like, you
true.
can't touch it, you can't. And they're like,
Yeah, it
you're
couldn't
an
be a dog.
asshole. It's
Yes.
like, I'm sorry.
Don't touch
And then
my
I'm here
dog.
going, actually, I know the truth about that. He is
Yeah.
an asshole,
Yeah.
but still, there's more to it. Yeah.
It's my demon. They're like, it's an animal, you weirdo. Why are you calling it demon? I mean, Damon. Still,
I
you're
mean,
weird. It's
man,
yeah.
damn
That's his
it.
name.
It's its name.
Can we can't say that every time.
Can't
the
not.
so we also see Tony, R.I.P.
Yeah,
very
R.I.P.
sad.
Tony.
And
Let's just move on.
and the way that the
Kid
children
dies, it's sad.
But the way that the children
Where did he put his fish somewhere? Give him
Oh,
his fish back.
so
That was
Give him
great.
his fish.
That was
You
great.
really got to telling of who Lara was.
Scratch it
in
out
that
on the
moment.
coin and put it in his mouth. It was real
and
sad.
she reunites with Roger finally, her pal.
Her buddy. Yeah.
And Billy?
Yeah, and Billy Costa. Mm-hmm. But she gets to this. It sort of reminds me of like what I imagine Stranger Things is going to do with.
Regulated.
What happened?
I just used an example and got schooled over the example.
Oh, nice.
It's a very good point, though, Game Wizards 001. Very good point.
Thrash Odin says, I'm 30 years old. There's no way I'm reading an althiometer. Agreed, because she's a child, so she understands in a way that like
Alethiometer.
We have blocks, I feel like.
Yeah,
Or just preconceived
I-
like things that would get in our way.
I could learn a
Reading it.
language at my age, just after puberty.
yeah, you
So-
just hit it. Yeah, just really, it's rough, right? Are you doing okay?
That was emotional.
Amy, what was your favorite part in this section so far?
You mean the most painful section of
Yeah.
the entire
Yeah.
book and
Yeah.
the most horrifying?
Yeah.
But it was a great.
It was. It
ending,
ended,
a great
yes.
relief. Yeah.
I really liked the goose Damon and meeting Seraphina.
Opened a damn door with his wing wind.
Yeah, like come on. He's like, I got this. I cover up your tracks.
magic snow on it.
Oh yeah, like okay,
sure,
sure,
goose.
that opens locks.
Cool.
But like this
can
goose is
open
thinking
the
through
door.
things through these kids in this. They don't know what they're doing. They're like, we're gonna free these daemons, right? But they're gonna leave obvious tracks. The goose is like, I got this. I'm smart. I'm a witch's goose.
And the witch's
Damon.
goose and the witch's daemons get to travel away from them, which is
Independently,
kind of jarring for Lyra.
Yeah.
and Serafina and what's his name?
Lee? No.
Thank you.
The
No,
Scoresby.
no, the that
yeah.
they had they had known
Farquhar?
each other when he was younger.
Lord Far.
Lord Fa, yeah.
Lord Farquhar.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Which one? I said
Lord
two
Farquaad?
No,
Both
farter.
of- yeah, that one.
Which one? Sorry.
It's farter, right? He
Farter.
farts.
I'm just seeing it. I'm not thinking it in my
Farter-corum?
head. I know who
Farter-corum?
they are. I know the difference between them, but I'm not thinking about them. But they knew each other, and I like the kind of implied, like they knew each other when they were young.
Well,
and
it's like
she
the
doesn't
Aragorn,
age.
like Arwen thing to a degree.
Yes.
I think, and I
Yeah.
like
We're talking
that.
about
Yeah.
farter-corum, correct?
Farquhar.
Farter-corum.
Farquhar.
That's a tough word in American English for me. Farter.
Yeah, what?
Because it's like
Farter.
farter. It's like
Farter.
a person
Farter.
who farts.
Farting.
And also, I
Yeah.
picture him and every other person who is a scholar from the school. I don't even know if farter-corum is from the same world. As just like a stuffy old British like friar, like a Siskin friar is what I picture.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't picture like this
funny.
young hunky,
No.
you know, Aragorn type that has like an unrequited love with a witch. I picture like the friar from like the animated Disney Robin Hood. Like I'm like, oh, you're into the witch? Ain't gonna work out, buddy.
I picture
You're a
the
badger.
guy from the apothecary from Romeo and Juliet.
Mhm. What's his name? Peter.
Skarsgård?
White.
That's a good guess.
This
that
the
what
White.
it was?
Thierry, who actually is bilingual and speaks both English and French, said, Maud, il n'est jamais trop tard pour apprendre une nouvelle langue. So, duh. Got this
Oh.
down.
Nailed it.
So
The hell does
Is that French?
Yeah,
Never
obviously
too
means
late
never
to
too
learn
late.
a new language.
Let me
brilliant.
let me
And
try.
now
let
rate
me
me out of 10 on how my French sucked.
Il
That
n'est
was-
jamais trop tard pour apprendre.
Apprendre?
I know Italian, so I really want to read it in
Novella
an Italian
lingua.
accent.
Novella
Novella
lingua.
lingua.
Yeah, very,
Fare.
very Italian.
So last week we rated the book on a scale of 1 to 5
Yeah.
of where we are so far. Hector, you still at a 2?
No, I'm at a 3.5, 3.75.
Ooh, okay.
Not quite
Climbing
a 4.
up the charts.
I will say this about this this whole book up to this point. I have absolutely been totally on board with the plot and what's happening, but this section in particular feels like it was a lot of the whole book was essentially set up to get to this very exciting section. Very exciting because Lyra's trapped in and she's trying to break out like it's a prison escape movie. You know, like it's a reverse heist film, but she's like it's an escape film. And then you get this huge action sequence with the bear and the witches and the adults and the kids and the snow, and it was very visual. And I felt like Philip Pullman had a lot of things in play to get to this big moment. And not only that, but his writing felt a lot less stilted for me in this section. Things moved quicker.
Yeah.
Things were sort of more. There was a sense of urgency to it. So yeah, I think that this has been the strongest section for me thus far. I still feel at times frustrated because, especially after having read Harry Potter, like we were talking about last week, Amy, like I still don't know enough about Dust to be fully on board with the child's perspective. And I was asking earlier about if Mrs. Coulter could be right, because I feel like the way that the book is written, we are to believe that Mrs. Coulter is evil. But I don't feel like the book 100%, the way that other books do, the way that Harry Potter does, the way things we're used to, takes Lyra's side and point of view. It's very, there's a kind of a cold, distant feeling to the writing. It's very like omniscient, like narration of just like, and this is what's happening, and this is what's happening. We get an inclination as to what Lyra's feeling when it comes to the demon being ripped and different things like that. But it's still this sort of thing of like, these are the things at play. These, as opposed to like kind of zooming
Being in
in,
it.
being in it. I don't feel like we're quite at Lyra's perspective. Maybe because because there's that element of her being a kid where she doesn't know things, and the book makes me feel like I don't know things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's okay. I don't necessarily disagree with that like when you're a kid, you don't know everything. When you're a kid, you don't know that Lord Asriel, he may seem like a dick to you, but turns out he's a super cool dude. It's just that he's an adult. And there's like, or Mrs. Coulter might seem great to you, but you don't know that secretly she's evil. I get that, but I still think that there's a bit of a disconnect in the feeling of like, not everything has been revealed yet in terms of who exactly we're supposed to kind of side with. For me, with all the sort of different parties, right? But it's like even with Harry Potter 1, it's so brilliant because you don't know everything about the world, but right from the beginning, J.K. knows to put us in Harry's perspective, his point of view, and we learn
There's
about
an
things.
instant enemy.
What's that? There, yeah, there
yeah,
is.
yeah.
There is.
And this
that
is
is
a
right
little
and
more
wrong.
complex. And
Yes.
also, I would say
Complexity,
that
yeah.
the concept of the trilogy overall, as we've talked about, sort of the religious versus science.
Yep.
I do feel it might not be intentional, but it feels, as you're saying that,
Yeah.
it feels intentional to me
Withholding
as
information.
as it goes, because that
I think
is
they went
the
to,
eternal
like-
struggle.
I like that because not that I feel guided in Harry Potter, but
Right.
it is very, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and as adults, we read Harry Potter 1, and if you've seen the movies, you know, it's like Draco Malfoy is a little shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
as an
he
adult, you
is.
know, you're like, this kid probably comes from a broken home. You know, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. The point is that there's still like a pretty clear villain and a pretty clear like this is where the first book is going to end, as opposed to this is a problem with like a lot of trilogies. Are we happy with the amount of information we get in book one of Annihilation, knowing that there's 3, knowing that it feels like so many things these days have 3? It's like
I think we get way more in this than
we do than Assassin's Apprentice for sure.
You know
but
what?
I
Harry
still
Potter gets away with it a lot better because it's a yearly
Right.
exercise,
Right.
basically.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's true.
yeah.
Whereas this is it all unfolds where she's ripped straight out of her familiar grounds, and everything she thought she knew was taken away from her in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not as formulaic and in no way predictable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
and A
this
Cat Who
section's
Games
strongest so
says
far.
Harry Potter is more like a Disney movie in the sense that you know who you're supposed to root against just by
Yeah.
looking at them.
Yeah.
Or like
for the most
yeah,
part.
like reading
yeah.
the script. Yeah,
Meanwhile,
that's true too.
His Dark Materials is a little more subtle.
Nice.
What is an anime
laugh.
laugh?
Well played.
That's
I think that's
is that an anime laugh?
That is
that
one
what
of the
that is?
anime laughs that you can get. The other one
But
is.
that's a good point because even with Disney movies we grew up
wanna
on
be chibi.
as adults, I love nothing more than going back and reflecting on that as a kid, as an adult, and being like, you know what, Maleficent was fucked over. Like I love that.
Yeah.
and
Like
you
you,
can,
you realize a
Shades
little
of
more.
grey.
And
Yeah.
you can do that with Harry
Yeah.
Potter,
There's
and
a
you can
lot
do
of
that
this
with.
here.
I think you can do that with real strong. Like Star Wars is the best example.
Oh, of course. Yeah. If
Real
you go back
strong
and look at
stories for
Blood.
kids.
Of course.
It's something when you're a kid, and as you get older, you're like, wait, but
Oh,
wait.
there's more to
let's,
this.
let's unpack this. Yeah, like
What? What?
Because the Empire was right.
I mean,
Whoa.
That.
but there were. I mean, yeah.
So, go.
I'm at 4, guys. It's still 4 out of 5 for
Thank
me,
you.
if not 4.25. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. The part that I adored the most was the obviously Yorick's role in it all. You just know he's a savior and he's very, very strong. But then you also saw that he can't do everything, and she was taken from his grasp. And that moment where she, for the first time, you know, she's felt very invulnerable.
yeah.
Like, yeah, she's always jumped on rooftops. She's done this. She's done that. She's
Yeah.
never really had any guidelines. She's always had someone looking out for her.
She's a great liar. She adapts very well to everything. She's
Lyra,
sort of a chameleon.
liar. Just then.
It's so
Yes.
simple.
Just then.
Oh my God, Yorick, I'm a bear.
gosh.
That's crazy. That's a character's name, right? Yorick, I'm a bear. I'm just not
It all
realizing it.
comes together.
That's how you pronounce it, right?
Amy.
But in this section where she was getting transported by the hunters and she
Yeah.
really was alone and she only had Pantalaimon and they were like, "Ha, you had a bear to protect you? Ha 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 ha! That didn't work, did it?" And she was like, "Shit." Like,
Yeah.
I had to figure this
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I liked that.
I love the part earlier when Lyra tells the bear, tells Yorick, like, she shows up and he's like pissed at doing something and she's like, I know where your armor is. And he just goes like, okay, just tell me. And she goes, you gotta
I got
promise not to
this.
fuck shit up. And he's like, I promise. And then she tells him and he just goes,
I'm a fun.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
he just like goes straight to it and just fucks shit up.
No, he doesn't. He stands by his word. He
Well,
says,
but she has
"I'll
to
do it
stop
at-"
him.
No, I'll
but
do
he-
it at
but
5
he-
o'clock because I promised my word that I will
Oh,
do it.
that I like that too.
He's sitting right there. He's like,
I gotta finish this job.
yeah.
That's true.
But that's where I realized that he really is stuck by his, because he wanted
Yeah.
to, and all he wants is his armor back, but he goes, no, I gave my word that I would work till sundown, and that's what I have to do. And
Yeah,
it's
he's a
even
classy bear.
Yeah.
Which is not what we've heard about the armored bear so far. They're like, they'll
Yeah.
do, if you pay them, they'll do anything. So it's nice to see
No,
this.
one of the first things that she ever heard was, you'll never find anyone more loyal. Like if a bear.
But what they're
if you have a deal with
yeah,
a
but what
bear.
they're telling, I guess that's true. It's more of an agreement than a morality thing.
But let's be honest, it's a morality thing because he shows up at the
He's
end
a real
to
sweet
save her. He's
bear.
He's a buddy.
we're
we're
gonna
putting that
smooch
on
him
him.
on the nose.
Yeah, he's a prince. We're gonna smooch
Oh
him.
my god.
Yeah.
I'm at a 4.5 after this section. It really gets
Ooh.
moving, and I'm very excited to talk about the end. Amy, you're rereading it. Where are you in your sort of? experiencing this for the next time? Are you liking it as much?
Yes, I was sucked back into this world so fast. I am fascinated by the world building and just all the little things he does, even in this section where he starts to hint at, like, here are all the witches' clans and they have their own plots and their own motivations, and you're just
Yeah.
like, but tell me more. Like, what are they doing? They have geese, they
Yeah.
fly. What?
Are they going to be on our side? And they're like, witches are more complicated.
Yeah,
than that."
exactly. Like,
right.
there's just all these
Yeah.
layers, and I think he does it sometimes in really obvious ways, but also just kind of like, here's this little line that kind of sets this up for what you're going to run into. And something I like about this book is there are longer things that take longer to pay off, but like we met the goose in this section, and later you see the goose, the daemon, and like you get payoff like within 100 pages
Yeah.
of something you just learned, and that's really
And
satisfying.
then Roger from the start to the end. Like, that's a
Yeah,
nice
and
little
you're really-
carryover. You just know that Billy Costa's going to get back with Mark Costa, and that's just going to
It's
be
all
its
gonna
own
be
little thing. And there's going to be a big old hug, and I
Uh-huh.
miss my mum.
Yeah, so I'm like
She's a
at
very
a
Molly
solid
Weasley one.
4.
Yes.
Another
Yeah.
favorite thing in this section for me was I am listening to the film score I have, like it's on YouTube. I pull it up. It's okay.
Who scored
I've
it?
listened.
It was
to,
Alexander Desplat.
Oh,
He
yeah,
just won
okay.
the Oscar for Shape of Water. You
sure.
listened to it? What'd you think? Did it work?
I listened to one that was on YouTube, and I was like, no.
Then I listened to the
really
score for the movie
fancy.
The
audiobook?
Fountain by Clint Mansell, and that
Clint
shit
Mansell.
was
Mwah.
yeah, it was
Mhm,
intense.
Pizza
But
Chef.
while I saw just the picture, because I barely remember anything about the movie. I worked at a Blockbuster at the time. It came out. You know, I knew that like Ava Green, Daniel Craig, Nicole
know who
Kidman
Ava
were in
Green
it.
is now.
Yes, now I do. Now I do.
I
But
forgot she was in it.
yes, I saw the
I did
picture
too.
of the soundtrack, and Sam Elliott's in there.
Wait, what?
And I was like,
Yeah.
How about that?
huh? And then when we get to this section and we meet Lee Scoresby, I went,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
that's
we
Talked
perfect.
about Lee. We
I was
haven't
like,
talked
oh,
about
that's
Lee.
perfect.
Scores.
I
It's
love
so
Lee
great. It's
Scoresby.
like a British guy doing a Texan, writing a Texan. Doesn't do that bad of a job. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
The voice
pretty
actor's
good.
amazing
Really?
in it. Oh my
Yeah.
god! Listening to Yorick and then talk about Lee
I love
Scoresby.
him.
I
So
want to read the section on 227 if somebody wants to narrate and then be Lyra, because I want to be Lee. I want to do my Sam Elliott.
Oh, can I be Lyra?
You want to be Lyra?
Yeah,
I'll narrate.
227. And who we
want me
need a
to narrate?
narrator.
Narrate.
You want to narrate?
You go.
Okay,
Is there
great.
only 3 spots?
Yeah.
I like to listen more. I do. It's
Start
true.
right in the middle with the leaders.
227.
Yes.
The leaders had agreed with Lee Scoresby that when they reached the next stopping place, they would inflate his balloon and he would spy from the air. Naturally, Lyra was eager to fly with him, and naturally it was forbidden, but she rode with him on the way there and pestered him with questions.
Mr. Scoresby, how will you fly to Svalbard?
I need to get into it. Coors, the banquet beer. Got it. Got it, little lady. You'd need a dirigible with a gas engine, something like a Zeppelin, or else a good south wind. But hell, I wouldn't dare. You ever seen it? The bleakest, barest, most inhospitable, godforsaken dead end of nowhere.
I was just wondering if Oric Burnson wanted to go back.
He'd be killed. Yorick's in exile. Soon as he set foot there, they'd tear him to pieces.
How do you inflate your balloon, Mr. Scoresby?
2 ways. I can make hydrogen by pouring sulfuric acid onto iron fillings. You catch the gas it gives off and gradually fill the balloon like that. The other way is to find a ground gas vent near a fire mine. There's a lot of gas under the ground here, and rock oil besides. I can make gas from rock oil if I need to, and from coal as well. It's not hard to make gas. But the quickest way is to use ground gas. A good vent will fill up the balloon in an hour.
How many people can you carry?
6 if I need to.
But could you carry Oric Burnson in his armor?
I have done. I rescued him one time from the Tartars when he was cut off and they were starving him out. He was in the Tunguska campaign. I flew in and took him off. Sounds easy, but hell, I had to calculate the weight of that old boy by guesswork. And then I had to bank on finding ground gas under the ice fort he'd made. But I could see what kind of ground it was from the air, and I reckoned we'd be safe in digging. See, to go down, I have to let gas out of the balloon, and I can't get airborne again without more. Anyway, we made it, armor and all. That's great.
Yay!
Isn't that great?
It's so good, and I am amazed that a year and a half in and many voices in, I'm so impressed. But that was so good. That was really great.
It sounds exactly like
Lovely.
him in my head when I do it. but it's probably not.
No,
all
it's
the way
great.
there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Lost the numbers as a Southerner. That was something.
Okay. You think you can do better, Lee? You do it. You come on up here and do better Sam Elliott. I'd like to see it. I love Sam Elliott impressions, so please.
So we're coming to a close on the Golden Compass, which makes me very sad. I hope we read the rest of them.
We're gonna watch the movie though, yeah?
We're gonna watch
Oh,
the movie
yeah.
next week, but this is mostly for Hector, even though I know you two
Not until
don't
you
remember.
finish the book.
Not until you finish
Oh,
the book. But what do you think
clearly.
is going to
Sam
happen?
Elliott's gonna get you.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, if I'm going off of this is like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
oh,
We're gonna go to the northern water temple and like bust in, and then there's gonna be some kind of a spirit that will be made of dust, and then we
Sure.
save Lord
This is like
Asriel.
Avatar: The Last Airbender because the cartoons are incredible, and then you watch the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it is like it that way.
Nicely
Yes.
done. The adaptation is shit.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
bad.
It is just like it's like The Last Airbender. Oh my god.
How
Yeah.
could it be that
Yeah.
bad?
Yeah.
well, it
Oh,
is.
and
Oh,
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
so curious.
And
I can't
yes.
wait.
Yes.
And y'all should watch Legend of Korra. If you have, did you
Yes.
see Avatar?
Yes, and
Okay.
I love Avatar.
Love
Okay.
Avatar.
So.
Okay. And the comics
Get on
are
that.
good too. The comics bridge the gap between Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, and it is very good.
We had Janet Varney and the other day talking too.
What? She's the best. She is the GD best.
Here's a fun one. Sandrock12418 says they do bring up that Pan is constantly exerting dominance against other people's daemons, and all the kids immediately back down. Hell, even adults back off, like the scholars. It's really nice having Yorick be the one person who isn't intimidated by Lyra.
He's like, I'm
Yeah.
a
What is
fucking
it?
bear.
So obviously Pentalimen is an essence of Lyra, so that's Lyra just asserting her dominance as well.
Yeah, and
being
I like how
"Sit
that
down."
works, that it's
Yeah.
just kind of this unspoken, well,
Tough
all
little
right,
kid,
I'm going
man.
to back off.
It's
This is
part
just
of her.
Yeah.
It really is perfect casting that the little girl who played Laura in Logan is gonna be
Oh, and the
Lyra.
baby's right.
I can't wait
Because
to see who else
she's
they
just a little
cast.
firecracker, and that's such good energy. So
Keep
yeah,
forgetting that's a thing.
Yeah.
I know.
I
Good show, man.
I can't wait to see who we should next week. We should fan cast.
Fan cast.
more.
Oh,
you should.
Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
fun.
well, it's got to be Sam Elliott for
Do it.
Well,
Well, that'd be good.
no, some other guy.
Awesome. Well, it's time for your homework. It's time to finish the book. We're finishing it. Yay! It's going to be amazing. Don't forget, we're also on Goodreads. Search Alpha Book Club and come discuss with us. Also, if you haven't yet, tell a friend to sign up for 60 free days of Alpha by using the promo code Parceltongue. We use that because we're also reading Harry Potter all year round.
Wow.
Long. If you're interested in joining us on the show, that was not the word I meant. Just let us know on Twitter at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club and Lost the Numbers, aka Lee. We'll get you all set up.
Come on the show.
Please do. It's really fun. Other people have done it.
Amy, you had fun, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, see?
I mean, yeah, I had a great time, guys.
Good.
We definitely don't.
Nicely done, Maude.
My demon just comes out.
Yeah, there's the wolf. Yeah.
Getting the shit out of our
Can you
guest
walk
script.
me out to my car later?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Don't forget, send us your book recommendations. We're always looking for more books
Actually,
to read.
Brucifer had one. Brucifer reckons anything by Kurt Vonnegut, and that struck me by surprise because,
Champions.
well,
I read that.
a friend gave me Cat's Cradle in 2009, and I still have it, and I took it to America
But
with me. And
Just
it's
mail it
still
back.
on my
Didn't we make an agreement not to read books that we have to read in school?
Is that a school book? Is it?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
Breakfast of Champions. I never read it in
They're
school.
all they're good, but I'm
either.
just saying sci-fi and fantasy way more fun. Send us your recommendations at Nerdist, at Geek and Sundry, at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club. Amy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you all for having me.
working on now?
What am I working on? What am I working on? That's a great question. I don't have an
There's a
answer.
website called Nerdist.com.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's probably
right
some
for
Star Wars thing,
Nerdist.com.
right?
That's
What's the most recent
you
Star
know
Wars
what?
thing you did?
I have a Star Wars thing going up tomorrow
Yay.
about the history of Wedge Antilles, Wedge Antilles, and fake Wedge.
Fake Wedge?
And
What?
it's a
I'm gonna read
whole.
that. Who's fake? I don't know anything
We
about that. I'm
went
gonna read
down
it.
a real.
Oh
deep
boy,
hole today.
it
We
is.
about that yesterday.
It is
Okay.
down a rabbit hole.
I had
So-
to walk. I walked into the bullpen. Everyone was talking about it while Amy was working on it, and I was like, I gotta go.
Because Wedge Antilles comes up in Lost Stars, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He might, but this is in just A New Hope. 3 different
Yep.
actors play that one character,
So
and
wait,
there's another
it's-
twist.
Oh
Save
my
it for
gosh.
tomorrow.
Save it for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, yeah,
Check it out on
so-
Nerdist.com.
That's fun.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Wedge
having
Antilles.
me.
Cut
And
away from
oh, Dresden Files. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Dresden Files, please, we
Impossible.
have to. We have